Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Thursday, the 6th of March. Reading through the book of Exodus with McShane, we read chapter 17 today, talking and looking at the continuing journey of the Israelites through the wilderness. From verse 1, the Israelites camped at Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. So they quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us water to drink." Moses replied, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put the Lord to the test?" And as I read that, I thought, well, that's par for the course. The whole of the journey through the wilderness is constantly challenging, putting God to the test, questioning Moses. And as I read that, I thought, the problem as I see it, is that the people saw what God did, but didn't see beyond that. And they had seen what God did. They'd been in Egypt, they'd seen the plagues, and they knew how Moses had been interceding with Pharaoh. They knew what God had done there. They had seen how they were led out and got trapped at the Red Sea, and then God parted the waters of the Red Sea. They had passed through completely safely, and then behind them the Egyptian army was drowned. They'd seen that and celebrated it. As they were going through the desert, they'd come to a place where the water wasn't drinkable, and they'd called out, and God had shown Moses what to do to make the water drinkable. And I would have thought, my perspective, that they would have seen what God was like. They would have seen that God was a loving God. He loved them. He was concerned for them. He was looking after them. He was a God who was powerful. He could part the Red Sea. He could do anything. He was a God who was leading them. Therefore, if God is there, we can trust him. And when there's suddenly no water, we can go and pray about it. We can call out to God, but we don't have to quarrel with Moses about the situation. And I thought the problem was they saw the miracles, but they didn't see through it. And as Christians, we need to see through what God does to see who God is. And as we read the scriptures, as we hear stories of people, we can see the acts of God, how he works, the kinds of things he does. And then we've got to look at that and say, what does that tell us about the kind of God behind them? Because our situations will change, and we will go from one kind of need to a different kind of need. We can go from a place of desperation to a place of great blessing, and our situation changes all the time. But if we see through the actions and the words of God, we see to the character of God, we know that God doesn't change, and that the God who led the people of Israel out of Egypt, that parted the Red Sea, that protected them, that fed them, that gave them water, that's the God who provides, the God who cares, the God who loves, the God who is generous, the God who might not give it to us beforehand. We might end up at a place where there is no water and we have to cry out to him, but he is the God who will provide. And so it's just a challenge to us as Christians. See through the word, see through what we know of God's actions, and see the God behind them. And we put our faith in that God who is unchanging. So be encouraged and know that we are blessed.